What do I think of racism? I think racism is a catastrophe in our country. It's ruining our lives, our businesses, our relationships. It needs to be stopped somehow, but we have to figure out a way to get two racist groups together and solve this problem.
What do I think about racism? I think racism is just wrong. I don't understand how it even started.
What do I think about racism? I think it's bad. I mean, it was worse before. It was really bad before, and we've evolved. But still, it's not good enough. We can do better. And we all know we can, and so we should feel ashamed. But that's why, I mean, most people I know, they do their best. I don't really see racism that much. But it's still there, and the fact that it's there at all is bad.
I think about racism, I think it shouldn't be done, and nobody should be judging each other by the color of their skin, but rather what's on the inside, because people never know when they're going to need help, and when that person might be there to help them, and I think nobody should judge each other by the color of their skin.
What do I think about racism? I think racism is one of the most horrible things that have ever hit the American economy. Basically, race really shouldn't even matter. Color is just a color, and we are all people, and we are all made as one in God's eyes.
I think racism affects our society by the people we live with, the people we work with. Just because of our color doesn't mean we can't work together, doesn't mean that we can't live together, marry each other. It's affecting our society and our growth. It makes people's children think that when they grow up they can stop liking someone or stop hanging out with someone just because of their color. It's affecting the society so much that we hate each other just because of it. We need to stop that, and we need to look deep inside with our personality, not just because of our color.
It does a major effect on my society, especially on my race. I'm Mexican, so, you know, a lot of people, especially with the immigration problem, a lot of people are pointing at me and saying, get back to your own country. So it really does need to stop.
Well, racism affects society in like a bad way. I mean, it's really subtle now. I mean, it used to be really obvious before, like the bathrooms, one that said colored, one that said not. And so it's like really subtle now. Like you can just be walking down the street and people will be giving you looks like, and then, so it's subtle, but I mean, it's still there.
I think racism affects society in every possible way. It makes people discriminate. Kids don't think that they can play with their friends. You know, they learn from their parents. And if we have parents that are racist, we're going to have kids that are racist and another generation that is racist. And since back then we're not as bad as we were back then, I think that racism is still a big problem in America because I'm still discriminated against, Caucasians are discriminated against, and Mexicans and any other race are discriminated against. So it's still a very big problem in the United States. But we have to learn to work together and bring it all in.
I think racism can be stopped by us all, different racist groups, working together as a community. We live in different places, we live in different countries and states, and we have different societies. We have a Mexican society, we have an African American society, Caucasian society. We need to learn how to bond all of us together, and we need to try to work with each other to form a good group that can go on for generations and generations, teaching their children's children about diversity, about having friends from another race, having families from another race, bonding us all together to make one. We are created by God to love one another, not to hate one another, and we have to work to proceed in that sign.
Racism can be stopped if we just all get along and work together. No Mexican took your job. No black took your job. No white took your job. You don't want the job, that's your own problem. What I can do anything. I cannot start racism in my society.
Well, how do I think racism can be stopped? It's going to be hard because, you know, I mean, really, it would take everybody, every single person, and they just have to stop being stupid and be mature. Like, I remember when I was little, I thought we could just paint everybody pink, or, no, it was pink, definitely pink, and we could just all be pink, and then But then, you know how people are, even if you're the same skin tone, they'll find something to make you different. Like, oh, well, your hair is black, mine is brown, so then we could have all had blue hair and purple nails and green feet or shoes, clothes. But I guess we can't do that because I'm sure the chemicals from the paint will kill us. But I just mean, we just gotta grow up. It's not the 1400s anymore, it's the 2000s. We're the generation of computers and robots.
I don't think racism can be stopped altogether because I am one person. I am the voice of myself. But I think if racism were to be stopped, then everybody would have to use their own voice and change their opinion based on things because they know that it's wrong and it shouldn't be.
First of all, to end racism, I really think that people really just have to come together as one, because separated we do nothing, basically. We can't function without our families. That's because we can't do anything on our own. And just the population of kids, we can't do anything by ourselves. We need the help of adults. We need everyone to just come together as one body. And what I probably could do to make everything come together will probably be just to, talk. I talk to my little brothers all the time. I talk to my niece, and my niece has this thing that she thinks she wants to be Caucasian. I'm like, you should love yourself the way you are because God made us the way He wanted us to be, and we're going to be who we are. So the point of wishing that you were Caucasian, it really doesn't even mean anything because...
About the president. As politicians as he is, we actually don't know what he's really thinking about. We don't know what he's focusing on. We don't know how he's actually leading our country. But I know this for sure, that our country hasn't been relieved of its racism. And he's not doing the best he could to solve it. He thinks our world is, our country, is actually going on with violence. And he doesn't really focus on the racism. It's part of the violence. Racism creates the violence in our country. He needs to start focusing on how people interact with each other. And I know he leads our country to victory, but it's not happening right now. And he needs to start speaking with the people, his people, the people who voted for him. He needs to start learning on how we treat each other in this country. What are the problems? And he needs to start doing that because I see involvement, I see growth, but I don't see all our cousins, my friends, all the people in our country bonding together to make it a resolved problem.
Do I think the president is doing all he can to stop racism? No, I really don't. I don't think he's really thinking about it at all. And I mean, I guess that's okay. He should really be thinking about that war, because that's important, but it's like he's not even thinking about that very hard. I'm sorry. And racism is a serious thing, but when you think about it, what's he gonna do? Really? He should really think about that war. But no, he's not. He could do more.
Is our president currently doing anything to stop this? Well, no. I honestly think he's not doing anything to stop anything. He's just making things worse, and we should all be glad that his term is almost over.
Which is a total joke to me. Nothing he says or does really makes sense to me, and his focus is really not on racism at all. The only thing that he really focuses on is the war in Iraq, and he's really not doing a good job at that. So how can we have a president that if he focuses on something so much and he doesn't really do a good job at it, how can he focus on something that is as serious as racism? And I really don't think that racism should be a problem at all because it happened so long ago, and you think us as Americans, how much our nation has grown, that we wouldn't even have to have this problem anymore. I mean, all the names that people are called, like my race, African American, we're called niggers, and white people, they're called crackers and honkies, and Mexicans, wetbacks and beaners. I mean, there's no real reason for these names. I mean, no one should be called out of their name at any point in any time in their life, because people say that words will never hurt you, but words really do hurt, and people really need to take that into consideration.